Good evening and welcome to the Boomerang Radio Show. It's Sunday, guys, and the Boomerang comes on each and every Sunday, 3 p.m. on the West Coast, 6 p.m. on the East, 5 Central, and 4 Mountain Time zones. So kick back, grab a glass, and enjoy the show. We're going to see what we can do to make your day a little bit better. All right. Hey, guys, so thank you so much for tuning in. So there are a host of ways that you can listen to the Boomerang and other shows that we have throughout the week. Uh, let's see, you can download the app, Apple. Just go to your Apple App Store and download Studio W. Android, the same, Studio W, available on Alexa. Just type in Alexa or tell Alexa to play Studio W. LinkedIn, Studio W Buzz, Studio W Buzz, YouTube, Studio W The Buzz. Hey, and welcome to the set from the Mad Mike and Wild Will Coast to Coast show. I see the Madman. Hey, Madman, what's going on?
Good afternoon to you and anyone that's listening in and anyone who joins us downline.
Oh, well, I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, we're just getting started. And she'll be joining us shortly. I'm not sure about Dr. Sims. But anyway, we're going to, the show goes on, man. There's so much happening this week. But till Ann goes on, man had a great time Thursday on the Coast to Coast show. It's one of my favorite shows of the week, man.
We do have a good time, don't we?
Yeah, we let our hair down, don't we?
Well, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, you're looking good today, man. You put in some mousse, didn't you?
Oh yeah. A little extra mousse.
A little extra mousse.
Little extra mousse. Little extra mousse never hurts.
Oh man.
It's like a little extra cash. Little extra cash doesn't hurt. Little extra girlfriends don't hurt.
Yeah, okay. I knew you were going to go there. Let's check to see if we're on Facebook Live. Let me double check.
You are. You are.
Great. Outstanding. Let's see. It's not hooking up over here. What's going on, man? What's
Well, I got you here on West Coast.
Well, good. Okay, I see. There we are. So much to cover, man. Today we're going to cover a few things. I want to talk about the government shutdown. There's people blaming everyone, and I don't want to hear any blame. With this 119th Congress that we have is crazy that these people, they're making $178,000 a year, and they take more vacations than Santa Claus. I don't get it. I don't understand it. They were on vacation back in September just because MAGA Mike Johnson didn't want the Epstein vote to be taken. So he sent everybody home. And this week during the shutdown, now this is unacceptable. During a shutdown, he's sent home again. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. We're going to talk about ICE a little bit. We're going to talk about what's going on out here in society, the insanity that's going on in Washington, D.C. and around the country. It is absolutely crazy. Welcome to the set, Ann Wooten Taylor. Hey, Ann.
Hey, my friend. How are you?
Terrific. Hey, you had a great show on yesterday. That was wonderful.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I really did. Mr. Davis was awesome.
He is. Hey, tell us a little bit, for those who didn't get a chance to, Lauren Sanders out there in Southern California. Happy Sunday, Lauren. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Okay. Give the audience a little brief synopsis of what your show was all about yesterday.
Well, yesterday we had Mr. Edmund Davis on. He's a retired professor, historian, as well as an author. And he apparently right here in Little Rock, right under my nose, has been held in a career fest for the last few years. So it's coming up on year 5 for the 5th annual National HBCU Career Fest. And it's going to be in Little Rock in April of 2026. So, of course, you guys are going to be hearing more and more about it the closer we get to it. And so we were, going through why it's so important for children who are about to graduate from high school, have graduated, those who are in college, about to graduate college, have a place where they can go to meet businesses, entrepreneurs, whatnot, to jumpstart their careers. And how the four HBCUs here in Little Rock are coming together to make that happen. Not to mention some of the HBCUs, for those of you who don't know, historically Black colleges and universities from other parts of the country will be there. So it's awesome. He also had tips for how schools and can get the kids prepared for it. It was just a really, really great show. So we thank everybody who tuned in. And of course, we thank Mr. Davis because he was a wealth of knowledge. And we're looking forward to the event because he invited us to broadcast live. And we haven't had a live on-site broadcast in a long time.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to it. It sounds like it's going to be a blast.
It's going to be a blast. As a matter of fact, yeah, he's a fraternity brother of mine. I met him, and he was so. I mean, the program was excellent. It was excellent. So that's why I said he has to be a guest on your show, right there out of Arkansas as well. And so, yeah, I was proud to hear that. I was so proud of that. Yes, Lauren Sanders, Dr. Daniel Walker. Hey, if you have his contact information, send that to us.
Yeah.
Speak. Okay, send that to us. We appreciate that.
Thanks for being with us, Lauren.
Yes. And hopefully a lot of other people will join us as well. We're also on LinkedIn, Studio W Buzz.
Awesome.
I mentioned that earlier. We're on LinkedIn.
Awesome.
We're on YouTube. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 Facebook pages that we're on live right now, as well as the apps, the website. Folks, you can find us anywhere. Okay. Yes. Okay. Wow. Did it got 50 months? Yeah, he needed more.
Well, everybody was thinking he was going to get time served. I was like, I doubt it. I am not surprised that he got something. I didn't expect him to get life. I thought the prosecutor was definitely overreaching with the racketeering and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, okay, I don't even see how you're going to prove that. And I was right. They didn't make their case for that, and I was pretty sure they wouldn't have been able to. But the physical abuse and all that other stuff that he put her through, and other people too, I thought that he was more than likely gonna get some time for that. And 5 years, that sounds about like it sounds about right. I didn't expect him to get 11. I certainly didn't expect him to get more than 11. So I think the judge did a good call. The only thing about it is I think they're giving him time served for the amount of time that he's been in jail, waiting the trial. So, but other than that, he's gonna be he's paying for the physical abuse and forcing her to and whoever else to participate in these quote unquote freak offs. He needed to be punished for the way that he treated women. It was all that stuff was deplorable, but forcing people to participate in it against their will was even worse.
I totally agree. The cruelty, it's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Speaking of cruelty, today I wanted to talk a little bit of a couple of things I want to talk about. The government shutdown, I want to talk about that because I think that's avoidable. I think that these parties, or especially in my opinion, the Republicans are playing games with us. Some of you out there, and maybe even on the panel, you might disagree with what I'm about to say. But I really want, speaking of cruelty, I saw a story that really chilled me this week. And that's when law enforcement, immigration enforcement stormed an entire apartment building in Chicago. And I think the cruelty there, speaking of cruelty, I don't get it. I don't recognize this country the way it's going right now. I really don't. You have mass chaos all in the streets. Some people say, well, we need to crack down on crime. Yes, we do. But you don't need to do it that way. I mean, and also American citizens are getting caught up in this mess. They're being detained. They're being arrested. And they say, well, and the Supreme Court, boy, oh boy, oh boy, they are saying that, well, yes, because there was a lawsuit brought and saying that it is illegal to stop people and detain people based on race, just because of the color of their skin.
It's called
And
profiling.
Say that, Mike.
It's called profiling.
Yeah, that's wrong. That is wrong.
Been wrong for a number of years, but apparently it's okay now. It's okay to do it. It's okay to do it now if you're looking at the color of their skin and listening to the language that they speak. If you're ICE, they seem to be able to do it.
And
get away with it.
Absolutely. And one thing I want to say about ICE, I think it needs to be dismantled and rebuilt from the top.
I don't think ICE is the problem. I think the people in charge of ICE are the problem. That ICE wasn't out of hand like this until January 2025. I don't think that they were conducting their jobs in a manner that was basically illegal, violating due process. I don't think I ever heard about, if I did, I don't recall it. That's how rare it would be for me to have heard about it. Police brutality at the hands of ICE agents. I just, the only other time things were bad with ICE was the 2017 Trump administration when he and it wasn't, and that was basically, when they were splitting up families and whatnot. But this is horrific. This is blatant discrimination.
And I do, I'm going to push back a little bit, just a little bit. I do agree that the head rots from the top, from the top down. It starts stinking at the head first. I agree with that 1,000%. However, if that's a job if it's something that you don't want to do, find another job. But see, the problem with it right now is that ICE has lowered its standards, that you can be, as long as you're 18 years old, you can apply and possibly get a job with ICE. 18? Now, how many 18-year-old people? Now, I remember 18-year-old out there, and you got all the power of law enforcement. You got a gun on your hip. You got a mask around your face. You got tear gas, and so I think that their standards have lowered, and I think they have recruited some nefarious people who just love dishing out cruelty.
Well, you must feel the same way about our military, because they recruit people who are 18 years old and give them guns too. Well, and send them to foreign countries and have them, with a level of authority very often too. And I'm just saying, we give 18-year-olds guns around here. It is not an uncommon thing.
Well, it is in law enforcement. I don't know, Mike. In the military, yeah, I do understand that. Now, the difference is,
can I weigh in on this? Can I weigh in on this before you get too far?
Hold on, in a second, you sure can. And the difference is, in the military, you go through strenuous basic training. All right. But these guys, they're barely trained or hardly trained. Mike, you were going to jump in and say what?
So I have a couple of thoughts about this. As far as handing 18-year-olds guns and putting them on the street and giving them the power of the badge and so on and so forth, I think it's wrong. I also think it's wrong to bring people into the military because they're 18. I think if you're not 21 and able to have a beer, you shouldn't be sent off to war. So let me start with the military. In law enforcement in California, I believe, now we're talking state and county and city, you must be 21 by the time you graduate an academy, and the academy is 9 months. Here in California, it's controlled by something called POST, which is Peace Officer Standards and Training. So at 21, I still think you're probably a little too young to have babies. I think you're a little too young to have guns and badges. Especially, God, I'm going to hate myself for this, especially males,
Well,
because yep, Ann will back me up on this. The male brain doesn't really develop until it's probably 25, according to the things I've read and the things that I've personally seen. You're not really all that mature till you're 25. So I don't like sending boys to war. I don't think boys or girls, by the way, when I say boys, I'm referring to both male and female. I don't think young people should have that level of power because, as Dr. Demery would like to say, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And even people that are over 25 run into that wall of power corrupts. So that's my thought on people with guns. The law enforcement is a paramilitary organization. And as such, they have powers within the United States, wherever you are district-wise for law enforcement. So keep in mind that they are trained. They do go to at least here in California, they go 9-month academy. I don't know what ICE is doing. I think it's absurd to put. Let me swap it for just a second here. Something to think about here. I'm going to plant a seed here. You're an 18-year-old kid, and let me go back to paramilitary organization. As such, you do what you're told to do. If you're in the military, you do what you're told to do. If you're in law enforcement, you do what you're told to do. Going back to what William said, it's from the top down. So you're just a puppet, more or less, being told, you do this, go arrest them for this, and so on. Now, back to my 18-year-old. My 18-year-old goes out there, male, female, doesn't matter. And they're trying to make an arrest, and it goes sour. And they end up shooting somebody. They end up killing somebody. You're 18. Can you imagine the weight that would be on your shoulders for taking another human life at 18 years of age? And that's another reason not to do it that young. Thank you.
I agree. I don't think children that young should have should have guns, should be forced into the military. But we have been doing this in this country for years, and I know that the way that people view young people generations ago is totally different from the way that we view them now. I mean, girls would be married around 12, 13, 14 years old, just a couple of generations ago, and their husbands
that was a different world, though.
It was a totally different world.
But it was a different world.
And what I'm saying is, I know, so back then, they 18 wasn't in their estimation, a bad age to send somebody off to war, because they're already husbands and fathers and a lot of that. I think we have grown to the point, or matured to the point, where we realize that kids need to be kids and have time to mature, like Mike was saying. We just haven't applied that consistently. We've recognized that children shouldn't be in the labor force. Well, some states are rolling that back since they don't have immigrant labor anymore, but okay. But we recognize that, kids shouldn't be working long hours. They should be in school. And we've made some allowances even for parents to keep children on their insurance until they're old enough to, get established.
Exactly.
But we still haven't figured out that, okay, giving them, if they're not allowed to drink alcohol, why are they allowed to go to the military, fight, and die? Why are they allowed to
die
guns?
Or kill?
Yeah. So it's a little bit of hypocrisy there, but I think there's room for us to grow and get better. Hopefully we will. We'll see.
Well, my take on that is that also, I don't think an 18-year-old should be able to purchase a firearm.
Well,
I mean, the same premise, because like you said, and Mike brought it up, 18 years old, you can't buy a beer. And
right.
I don't think you can buy one legally until you're 21 years old, right?
Right.
And I recall going into a store in California, especially, and have kids outside the store, because in California, now here in Virginia, we have what they call ABC stores, where you go and purchase liquor. Now, you can purchase wine in the grocery stores, but if you want to purchase liquor, you have to go into what they call the ABC stores. And I still have to get some clarity on whether the state owns these stores or not.
Okay? I hope not. I hope not.
I believe I needed the fact check. I want to be accurate on that, but I believe the state owns these stores.
The liquor stores.
They call them state-owned stores, and ABC stands for alcoholic beverage control. So I believe they are, and I've heard them referred to as state. You have to go buy liquor at the state store. So I believe they are operated by the state.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. I've never heard of anything like that. Now, I will say that people who come here have never heard of dry counties. They, where prohibition is still in effect. It's like, we still have some of those.
You can't buy, dry counties. You can't buy alcohol anywhere in those counties.
Right.
Where they produce Jack Daniels, the whiskey. That is a dry county, and they make Jack Daniels whiskey there.
That is insanity.
It's a dry county.
Complete insanity.
Crazy.
You would think they would be rated every week.
Absolutely.
How do you get away with that?
Well, they're operating within the limits of the law, but they're not selling their liquor.
Yeah, they're exporting it out of the state or out of the
there's
county.
Some bootleggers that would argue with that reasoning because that's not the way it worked when they were doing it.
Well, the bootleggers are making a killing.
They were making a killing, but they would go to prison for it too.
Instead of on a side note, this is just a interesting story. Jack Daniels himself, who obviously was creator of Jack Daniels whiskey and such, now we're going back 100 years or whatever, but he had the old time safe, the cast iron safe sitting in the corner of his office. And he couldn't get his safe open one day, and he got really frustrated, and he kicked it really hard and busted up his toes and his foot pretty badly.
No.
And he was such a proud man, or such a maybe not proud, maybe a little touched in the head like Mad Mike. He ain't thinking straight. He refused to go to the doctor. Eventually, his foot went gangrenous, and he died from blood poisoning because he was so stubborn he wouldn't go get his foot checked. Just a side note.
That is sad. Unnecessary.
Talk about male maturity, right?
Right. Wow. Wow.
So Jack wasn't that bright, was he? Oh,
yeah.
He wasn't,
or maybe he was just liquored up all the time. Who knows?
Well, I will say this: if you are too proud to go to the doctor when your foot is rotting, then I would agree with William that he was not too bright. Something was not clicking.
Yeah, Emma wants to know, Mr. Mad, who owns the liquor stores? Yeah, like he just said, it's alcohol beverage control out here in the States, right? Let's see. This is Quram.
Never heard of that one.
Shazad. Hey, thank you. From Pakistan.
Oh, wow. Cool. Hey, how are you?
Welcome.
Oh, amazing.
Glad to have you with us.
Yeah, appreciate it. Tell your friends to tune in. All right, it should be interesting. All right, guys, let's get to it. And like I said, this story that I'm going to play for you right now, it really got to me. And we're going to have more commentary on this on the other side, okay?
Okay.
So check it out.
ICE tactics against the residents of Chicago. In the middle of the night, hundreds of armed federal agents and police, backed up by riot trucks, smoke grenades, and helicopters, breached fences and busted doors in an immigration raid on an entire apartment building on the city's south side. They pulled dozens of residents from their homes and zip ties, including children, some of them without any clothes. They then held some outside for hours and dragged the others into rented vans.
It was scary because I've never had a gun put in my face.
Neighbors like Ebony Watson says they ducked for cover as they heard several flashbangs go off.
They was terrified. The kids was crying. People was screaming. They looked very distraught. I was out there crying when I seen the little girl come around the corner. Because they was bringing the kids out too. Had them zip tied to each other. One of them literally laughed. He was standing right here. He said, them kids.
They zip tied the kids together. ICE put out a statement saying they were pursuing Trinidad gang members, but U.S. citizens living in the building say they were detained too. The cops told them that if they had any unrelated warrants, they wouldn't be going back home. 37 people were ultimately arrested after agents separated children from their parents on the street. And if you're looking at this and asking yourself, how is this legal? That is the right question to ask. And it has kind of an answer. And to understand it, you have to go back to Los Angeles this summer, where federal immigration agents started pushing the envelope on orders from the White House. They raided Home Depot parking lots and Walmart lots, and they grabbed people they saw. Near one Home Depot, masked agents with batons grabbed Narcisco Barranco, who has lived in the U.S. for more than 30 years and has 3 sons serving the Marine Corps. Agents beat Barranco on the ground, dislocating his shoulder before detaining him. In Van Nuys, agents raided a car wash, remembering this, sending patrons and workers scrambling before the 79-year-old owner, who is a U.S. citizen named Rafi, tried to ask them what they were doing.
That is when Rafi was taken down by agents and eventually handcuffed. Rafi says he was injured in the process.
And they sit on me, they see my elbow about a week ago, and they see my arm.
Rafi says he and 5 others at his car wash were taken to a federal detention center downtown. We're still working to learn more about why they were detained.
And that man is not alone.
Look how you got my hand, you're twisting that. I'm American, bro. What hospital are you? Yo, these guys are literally based off of skin color. My homie was born here just because of the way he looks.
Agents kept stopping people they suspected of being undocumented immigrants for no reason other than they weren't obviously white. Like Brian Gavidia, the man you saw there, the 29-year-old American. He wasn't arrested, but he says agents went through his phone for 20 minutes and kept his real ID card. Now, these are obvious violations of people's core constitutional civil rights, their right to equal protection and the freedom from unlawful searches and seizures. And victims filed a class action lawsuit. And after an entire bench trial, a federal judge sided with those victims and ended the ICE sweeps. And in her ruling, she wrote, "It is illegal to conduct roving patrols which identify people based upon race alone, aggressively question them, and then detain them without a warrant, without their consent, and without reasonable suspicion that they are with status." Yes, it is. Yes, it is. An appeals court upheld her injunction against ICE. You have to stop doing this. And so the Trump administration took the issue to the Supreme Court. And lo and behold, last month, the court's 6-3 conservative majority voted to just let Trump and ICE continue for now, as the case works its way up, to use racial profiling in their immigration raids, halting the lower court's decision, saying, go ahead. Now, they gave no reasoning or explanation for their decision, silent, except Justice Brett Kavanaugh, who wrote a short concurring opinion saying there's absolutely no problem whatsoever with racially motivated stops by law enforcement. Quote, if the officers learn the individual they stopped is a U.S. citizen or otherwise lawfully in the U.S., they promptly let the individual go. Welcome to the era of what critics call the Kavanaugh stop. Carte blanche for ICE to continue violent, warrantless raids and stops all over the country to undocumented immigrants, lawful residents, and American citizens alike, like Leonardo Garcia Venegas. You see him there, being cuffed roughly by ICE agents on a construction site where he was working. Vargas showed the agents his real ID as proof of citizenship, and they told him he was lying. And it took hours to get him out of custody, so not exactly expeditious. And then, get this, 2 weeks later, ICE arrested him again at another work site. He's now suing the government. The consequence of all this is what we're seeing now in the dead of night in Chicago. Dozens of federal agents raiding an entire apartment building with kids in it just to see what they can find. It's the most egregious abuse of our basic rights as Americans I've seen in a long time, maybe my lifetime. And it comes 2 weeks after Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem posted a hype video of another violent ICE raid with helicopters and grenades, this time on a house in the Chicago suburbs. And guess what? 2 U.S. citizens were mistakenly arrested. You know, there's a reason the American founders put the right to be free from unlawful searches and seizures in the Bill of Rights from the start. Masked secret police profiling people and now targeting entire apartment buildings, making everyone prove they're not guilty of something, is the province of tyrants. It is the opposite of American. And I don't think Americans will stand for it, nor should they.
All right, guys. What do you think?
I think he's absolutely correct in everything he's saying, except I'm concerned about whether or not Americans are going to stand for it. I'm very encouraged by what happened with the Jimmy Kimmel thing, how people put pressure on Disney and Hulu, canceled their subscriptions and basically made it really uncomfortable for a lot of people. And I'm even more hardened by the fact that once he came on the air, even though Nexstar and that other whatever company it was tried to block him out of 25% of the country, he still had the highest ratings he'd had in years. So I believe that all of that is a sign that perhaps America is not going to sit down and take this trend that we are currently seeing lying down. I'm really concerned that it may just happen. I mean, we basically have the choices before us are keep allowing what's happening to happen. Number two, if we get another chance to vote, which I would be really surprised if we do, if we get another chance to vote, we vote the Republican cult out of office in every level of the government. Or number three, which is what it seems like from what I was reading after Charlie Kirk died, Republicans are forcing people to look at this in a very violent way, like this is war against us and blah blah blah. They kept saying they just declared war. So many of them said it, that they're going to get what they're pushing for, a civil war. And I would really hate for America to have to look like Syria, even worse than it was during the first Civil War, for things to get back on track. But that's the worst case, one of the worst case scenarios. Let's just put it that way. Worst case scenario number one, we do nothing. We let America implode on itself like it's doing. Worst case number two, the worst case scenario number two is all out civil war. Middle ground, hopefully we get another election. Hopefully everybody wakes up and yes, I mean everybody gets woke. You know it's time for everybody to get woke when Candace Owens tells people to wake up. And there's nothing woke about her. But even she was upset, about the First Amendment violation. So if we all mature together and do our part to make sure that this regime is ousted and all of the anti-American policies that have been put in place are not allowed to take effect, that we reclaim our Constitution and our republic, because basically the document's been ripped to shreds, then there's a chance, there's hope in that middle ground. But I don't know. I'm pessimistic possibly, but I see it going down one way or the other. And that's a really frightening thing. Both propositions are really frightening.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say if we have another election. Yeah, I caught that, and I think that they're trying to make sure we don't. And I think that with these tactics with ICE and the things that they are doing, I think they're trying to stir up something so that he can declare martial law. That's just my thinking.
That's what he wants to do. He got real excited when he found out, when he was talking to the Ukrainian president, that the reason why they're voting has been suspended is because they're at war. He's like, I don't, because some people in Ukraine are complaining because they haven't had any elections, and they're calling him a dictator because they haven't been holding elections. And so he explained to Trump, that they were at war, and that's why they haven't been holding elections. And as soon as there's peace again, they'll go back to having elections. So Trump's eyes lit up like a Christmas tree. You mean what? So all we need to do is have a war. Okay, that doesn't work in America because we always have elections when we're at war. I mean, let's look back over the Iraq war. I mean, Afghanistan, like they complained about, the Republicans complained about, we were over there for 20 years. Hey, we had elections the whole time. But it seems like, we're going to pick a fight with somebody. Right now, Venezuela seems to be the most likely candidate, since we keep killing their citizens just for being in boats. And then, of course, we've threatened Panama and Greenland and Canada and Mexico. So there's no telling how he'll try to invoke the act to prevent us from having an election. Right now, the thing that gives you a little bit of hope is that they're trying to rig the next election, upcoming election in 2026, by forcing Texas and places like that to redistrict. So 2026 looks on track to hold elections. 2028, that's questionable, because he keeps, he's even had MAGA hats talking about Trump 2028 made. So I would be real surprised, especially with everything that's in place being torn down. Those who would be the watchdogs, who would be the gatekeepers, losing their jobs, and so many people being threatened that they don't even want to participate in the voting process anymore because they're afraid to. 2028 is going to be an interesting year, I think, even more so than the last one that we had.
Oh yeah. Before I go to Mike, I want to say hello. Hey, welcome, Ari Alexis. This is the first time I noticed you being on. Thank you so much. Yes, she said people never want to show up when it's voting time, and that's annoying. And I agree with you. And I hope, and one thing I'm hoping this time, even with gerrymandering and the things that he's doing to this country, I think that his own voters going to turn on him this time. I hope so. I hope so, because they must be fed up. And I have more to say about that after Mike speaks. Mike?
Gosh, covering so much here. I'll try to remember everything. But as far as I like to predict things, and you can go back and look at these tapes a year from now, and you'll see that I'm right. William, I told you a year before Trump was elected, I told you he was going to be elected president because of, not because I wanted him to be elected, because I saw the writing on the walls and I knew which way he was going to go. So here's my prediction. Don't fall into the Chicken Little syndrome. The sky is not falling. We're not all going to die. We're not going to have a civil war. We're going to have an election because the people of the United States would demand it. And I cannot see for the life of me that people are going to go to a civil war over political BS. It's just not going to happen. So there's my predictions. We're not going to have a civil war. We're going to have a regular election. Hopefully it's not cheated by either side, because both sides try to do those things, like you're mentioning, the gerrymandering and everything else. So that's my prediction for voting and for civil war. Venezuela. I was there in 2005, filming with Discovery Channel. An extremely corrupt nation. Hugo Chavez was the dictator. Oh, I'm sorry, not dictator, president. Their election is every 6 years. You know who ran the election? His brother. And if you voted against Hugo Chavez, they put it on your driver's license. So the federales knew you voted against Hugo. So who won overwhelmingly every 6 years? Hugo. And nothing has changed with Venezuela. I found out with being in that country for less than 2 hours, I found out that the people loved America. They saw America as this shining beacon of the melting pot, the glorious place to live. And they wish they would live in America, but they couldn't get out of Venezuela. So the people would come up, they would hug us. They would give us clean water, bottled water, which was $6. If you convert everything, it was $6 a bottle for a liter of clean water, processed water. It was 16 cents for a gallon. Once again, converting liters to gallons, it was 16 cents for a gallon of gasoline. Clean water was $6 a liter. So
Wow.
extremely corrupt. Government always has been. I hope it always won't be. But as far as giving Venezuela a wave, no, I'm not doing it. They're just as corrupt as they ever were. Let's see. Politics is a very dirty or organized crime, is how I'm going to label it. You have 535 people between the Senate and the House of Representatives. These 535 people can't get their stuff together to help the American public. If you have that many people working on problems, whether it be Medicare or Social Security or whatever, closing the borders, if you have that many people working on it, and they're smart, supposedly smart people that we elected to be put into those positions, and they can't solve a simple problem, they can't balance a checkbook. Forgive me for bringing it down to something simple, but we continue to go further and further into debt, trillions of dollars, which if you haven't looked at the numbers, the real numbers on $1 trillion, it's a lot of money. And we're putting our future children, grandchildren, and their grandchildren in debt because we can't balance a checkbook. If you got all these people, both sides are in the middle, I don't care where you're at. If you got all these people and they can't balance a checkbook and quit deficit spending, shame on them. And again, taking all these vacations, both sides, and claiming the other side is evil and we're going to lose our democracy. Both sides do that. They fall into this, this is an emergency. Watch out, duck and cover. No, it's theater. And both sides do it. So let me see. Epstein files. One of our listeners was mentioning the Epstein files. Everybody I've talked to, regardless of what side they're on, left side, right side, middle side, doesn't matter. Everybody wants these files released, but the government's blocking it. Got to give a big question mark there. And I go back to Occam's razor. Occam's razor states, all things being equal, the simplest answer to a given question, usually the most correct. With all the cameras that Epstein had in place, with all the records and flight logs that Epstein had in place, with all the knowledge of from personal perspectives of who went to his island, who went to his homes, what happened at those homes, and what do we hear as the American people? Crickets. So I'll take a break right there and let you guys jump in.
Yeah, I'm going to push back a little bit because, and I do agree with you. Both sides want these files released, but there's a false equivalence to say, well, both sides are doing this, both sides are doing that. Yes, there is. Now, I'm going to repeat this. So you can't say that I'm not saying that both sides aren't corrupt in some form, but there's a false equivalent, Mike. There's a false equivalence right here, because I'm telling you, those files will be released if Trump wanted those files released.
Biden had them for 4 years. Biden had them for 4 years.
But guess what? Epstein went to prison under Trump's first watch in 2019. He had them then. He had the hold it. He had the files then. Now, Biden had them, and I'm going to tell you something. During Biden's term, we had the weakest, the absolute weakest person in charge of the Department of Justice. This guy, I thought he was a Republican at one time. He was the weakest. He dragged his feet on everything. And I'm not sure whether they says, well, we don't want to seem or have the appearance of being political. And that's why they dragged their feet. But he was Merrick Garland. the absolute worst. Absolute worst.
Agreed.
No question about it. Okay. If he had been on the ball, Trump would not be president today, because
Biden could have changed that. Could have fired him.
He could have fired him. He didn't. And again, I think that Biden was weak on certain things, like he should have pushed that. But see, now, hold on. Let me finish. I didn't interrupt you.
No, I know, but I'm commenting. It's from the top down.
From the top down.
You mentioned earlier, Biden was the top.
In that perspective, Biden was weak on that. Maybe he should have fired him, and I think he should have fired him. Okay, but it's a false equivalence, because I'm looking at, because this both side argument just angers me so much. Yes, you've got corruption on the Democratic side, you got corruption on the Republican side, but it's not it's a false equivalence. It says, well, both sides do this, because you stole a loaf of bread and I shot somebody. Both of those are crimes, but yours is more horrific than mine. Now, you take, for instance, and I'm gonna get off just a little bit. Right now, he has someone in his administration, his border czar, that's accused of taking a $50,000 bribe so that his cronies can get government contracts. Okay, $50,000. He's saying, no, man, I'm not doing that. I didn't do anything like that. But it's been reported that the FBI has tapes on this guy. Okay, has tapes on him.
Are we talking Holman?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
we're talking Tom Holman. All right, that's exactly who we're talking about. So, and the corruption from top to bottom. You look at this administration right now, man, he has more crooks than the county jail in that administration. I mean, come on, man. His whole cabinet is full of corrupt individuals because he chose them. He picked the people that would cater to him, that would carry his milk, and that would do anything that he wanted done. See,
just like the Democrats.
No.
Just like the Democrats. No. They're just as corrupt.
Mike, you were interrupting me. I didn't interrupt.
I have to because you keep going on and on. I have to comment on what you're saying.
No, you do
the
not.
Democrats and Republicans are both corrupt. Period.
I let you go on.
Not one side's worse than the other. They're both terrible.
Mike, I did not interrupt you, brother. The whole time you were speaking, I did not. I could have fact checked you several times, but I did not, because we're going to conduct this program the way I used to do it a long time ago. Okay, that is, one person talks, and then someone else can come in and comment. The next person talk without being interrupted. So no, you don't have to. That's not the way we're going to do it. Okay, let me finish talking. So what I'm saying is, I did say both sides have corruption on their team, but it's a false equivalent. You look at all the criminals on the Republican side, it's far more than it is on the Democratic side. Even though the Democrats have some corrupt individuals there. Yeah, I agree. But the corruption lies heavily on the Republican side, point blank, period. There's no question about it. Even the president, and you want to discount this, he's been convicted 34 times, and it would have been 88 if Merrick Garland had done his job. And the reason why he didn't do it, because he had packed the courts. If I've got favorable judges and I've got a favorable Supreme Court, and even if I go, like he said, he could murder somebody on Fifth Avenue and get away with it, then guess what? I'm not going to be convicted. He ran for president for a couple of things. And you Republicans out there, you're ignoring one fact. This man has made billions of dollars in the first 8 months. Now, while he was president. Now, that's also a major, major crime that we seem to be ignoring. And Ann can attest to this. It's called the Emoluments Clause. He's breaking the law right now. The Emoluments Clause. He's not supposed to be making money while he's in the White House. Now, his businesses can do anything they want as long as he put their, I think it's in a blind trust. But he's not supposed to have his hands on the scale. He's going all overseas on our dime, going to Scotland. He's going to the UK. He's going to Saudi Arabia and different places, Qatar and stuff like that, receiving gifts. That is a law. That's a crime. I don't know when that is going to get through you guys' head. That's a crime right there. Okay? So no, I'm not going to have both sides. I want his both sides stuff. I don't want to hear this both sides stuff. Now, another thing, this right there, shutdown that we're talking about right now. It is absolutely on the Republicans. And they're saying that it's a Democratic shutdown. That's baloney. That's baloney. The Democrats say, yes, let's go on and pass a CR. But we also do not want you taking Medicare, Medicaid away from deserving citizens. So you're going to shut down the government, but you're going, no. At Project 2025, I mean, he's going by the playbook, even though he said that he didn't know anything about it. Yes, absolutely. You can all you want. It's a racist playbook. Project 2025 is discriminatory on his face, but the thing about it is that leopard is eating his own people's face. Okay? He's hurting his own people because I'm going to tell you something. And the farmers right now, the farmers are pissed off. Okay? And he has to bail the farmers out again. He said it a couple of days ago. Well, we've got all this money from these terrorists right here, so we're going to have to give a little bit to the farmers. He had to do that the first time because of these stupid terrorists. But he claims that he took in $17 trillion. Well, hell, I think that's more than the annual GDP. If he has $17 trillion, then we can pay for health care, okay? We can pay for all of these problems that we're having right now. The government doesn't need to be shut down. He's lying again. If it's $17 trillion, there needs to be an investigation. Where's the $17 trillion? Because that is not supposed to belong to him. It belongs to the people. And maybe educate Mike on what the emoluments clause mean and why that is a major crime and why people.
I already know what it is.
Okay, but then you already know that he's committing a crime then. And I'm gonna tell you something else. And I'm gonna hold on, and I'm gonna tell you that's why it debunks your one-side argument. Because see, the president is a monolith. The president is a monolith because he's supposed to be the president of all people. Of all people, whether you're Republican or Democrat, but he gets on TV, and what does he do? He talks about the corrupt Democrats, and he's, it's projection because, that's a part calling the color black. And
okay, there are two parts to the emoluments clause. There's the foreign emoluments clause as well as the domestic emoluments clause. The last time we talked about it, I know we were talking about it in terms of him taking that jet, accepting that jet. That falls on the foreign emoluments clause. The issue about him, making money from his businesses here at home, like for instance, say if he were, because I don't remember everything that he's done, but I think one time, the first administration, he was opening a new Trump Tower building, and a lot of the foreign leaders were coming and staying in his hotel. Well, that's probably going to fall under the domestic the domestic as well as the foreign emoluments clauses, because he's getting money here in America and he's also taking it from foreign people. So in other words, there are two different ways that the law is being broken. It's being broken when he's getting money from people overseas, and it's being broken by him making money off the presidency right here in the United States. Now, in terms of the government shutdown, it's one of those things that I don't think everybody in America understands. I think we're getting a crash course in how government works here over these last 9 months or so. What you have and what people really need to see, I think a lot more people are seeing this as it affects them personally. Very often when there's a president in office, you don't get a direct effect. You get an indirect effect as to what's going on. And you maybe see, big changes over a gradual amount of time. What's happening here and now is that you are feeling it as an individual voter in real time. So when people are losing their jobs, which they have been since Trump took office in January, lots of government employees have been losing their jobs, and they've been we're told at the very beginning, he's going to fire as many of them as he possibly could.
Mhm.
So him saying this is the Democrats' fault that he's about to fire more people, everybody, especially the people getting fired, know that that's a lie because their jobs have been threatened since he took office, since the day he took office and Doge started firing people. So that's one of the big things. But what we've learned from that is that when it comes to the government, a lot of what's happening with these different agencies is that it's not necessarily that they are so-called running the states, but they do fund the states. For instance, getting my hair done last weekend, and a teacher was there in the salon, and she was talking about how they didn't know whether they were going to be able to run a certain program because they didn't get the funding from the Department of Education, the federal Department of Education, that funds the particular program. And that's what people do not understand. A lot of what you have going on in terms of state government is funded by the federal government. And what's even more than that, the richer states, meaning the blue states like California and New York, they end up paying more money into the federal government. So they are basically propping up the poor states, which are southern red states by and large. So a lot of the money, all the people that you're railing against, all the people that you hate so much, those are the people who are helping your neighbors out. Those are the people who are helping your state to fund different programs that have been helpful when it comes to those who say need food, who need medical care, and who education wise. California can probably take care of California. But California is taking care of not just California, it's helping to take care of some of the other states too. So when you get rid of, say, the Department of Education, then what's going to happen is you're not just saying, oh, we're downsizing big government. It's basically an attack on your local communities as well, because your local communities are the ones that are going to be directly affected by not getting these government dollars that help to run what you have going on in your local area. Even where I work, people don't realize that when it comes to unemployment, the federal government has a whole lot to do with it. So folks, whenever there's a shutdown, the states have to start telling the employees, okay, look, no, you don't have to worry about it right now. We still have enough funding through this particular grant or that particular grant to get us through this particular day. So unless they're shut down this long, we don't have to worry about that. So if you are a state government employee, you are watching this closely. Not just the government shutdown. You are watching closely as each agency is being dismantled and there's less funding that's going out. So eventually, it's not just going to be people who work for the feds that are feeling this. People on the state level who work for government, a lot of them will start to feel the impacts of this. Families are going to feel the impacts of this. A lot of them already have been feeling the impacts of it. And you mentioned farmers needing help and all that type of stuff. These types of policies that are being put in place are not those policies where you say, okay, in 5 years, we're going to, reduce our dependence on gasoline and start phasing in more green technology. That's something far in the future. That's something that doesn't immediately impact you. The stuff that's been happening in the last 9 months is an immediate direct impact on not just, the government as a whole, but even down to the individuals and the families involved.
Mike?
Gosh, where do I start? As far as the shutdown goes and blaming one side or the other, currently, as I understand it, the Republican side wants to give a 6-week extension to run things as they currently are. In other words, hold everything together for 6 weeks while we can discuss everything. Just leave everything status quo, 6 weeks. That's all they're asking for, is my understanding. However, the left, the Democrats, are putting all kinds of parameters. Well, we won't vote for your status quo. In other words, we'll just continue for 6 weeks. We want this and we want that, and you have to this and you have to that. So who is causing the shutdown? The people that just want a 6-week extension, or the people that are making unreasonable demands?
Okay. I'm sorry, William, go ahead.
And I'm going to say what the Democrats are doing, they are fighting for the American people because the Republicans want to take away their health care. They want to kick upwards of 20 million people off of their health insurance and off of Obamacare, and the premiums are to go skyrocket. And they're saying that your insurance premium could quadruple and even more if these programs are demolished or if they aren't funded. So that's all the Democrats said. Okay, we want health care. They're not asking for this and that and that and the other. They're not asking for their whole barn. They're asking for a couple of things, and that is to preserve the health care. They want Medicaid untouched, and they also want Obamacare untouched, and they want the Medicare left alone. And see, the thing about it, the reason why Republicans are cutting these things because they're trying to pay for this huge tax cut that they're giving billionaires. That's what it is. They're trying to pay for that.
Well, they're not trying to cut waste?
Mike, let me finish. They are not cutting waste. They are spending more. And keep in mind, they're really not cutting anything because I'm going to tell you why. He's building a $200 million ballroom, and he's saying, well, it's going to be privately funded. I don't believe a word this dog says. I don't believe a word he says. He is giving, check this out. You talking about waste. Why give Argentina $20 billion to prop up their economy? You could pay for health care with that. $20 billion. If you're trying to cut waste, why are you giving Argentina $20 billion? Why are you still funding that genocide that's going on in Israel? Why are you doing that? Why are you wasting? You're talking about $140 billion that you gave ICE, and they're trying to give these guys, I think it's a $40,000 or $50,000 raise for terrorizing our citizens. They are wasting money right now, and this tax cut they want to give is going to add another $4 trillion, at least $4 trillion to our debt. When he nailed us for $8 trillion when he was in the first time, $8 trillion. And they're talking about, well, look at our deficit. He caused more deficit the first time than any president in the United States, and that is a fact. And you're talking about waste? Well, then do not give Argentina $20 billion. You give it to our citizens so they can pay for their health care, so they can put food on the table. Okay? So I don't want to hear anything about waste. He is wasting more money. The jet from Qatar. Don't let me go down the list of things that he's wasting money on right now. He's golfing every weekend. That's costing millions of dollars of taxpayer money. Golfing. Come on, man. I don't want to hear that.
You're only seeing one side. You didn't. What about when Obama flew his whole family to Hawaii for vacations? That wasn't waste.
How many times, Mike? That's a false equivalent. How many times did he take his family? How many times a president is allowed to go on vacation, but not every week?
And why is it okay for the Democrats to demand money for Medicaid or medical expenses for illegals? Why are we spending medical money on illegals?
They don't get illegal. They do not get services if they are not legally in the country. If they have come into the country with the right documents, yes, they can get services. But people who come into the country without the proper documentation cannot get services. And they don't bring attention to themselves because they know that they are here without the proper documentation. So they do everything that they can to fly under the radar and not get in any trouble, even to the point where they probably will not go to the doctor when they're sick because they don't want to get in trouble.
That's right.
And if a pregnant woman goes into a hospital to give birth and she's illegal, do they turn her away?
It is against the law for emergency room staff to turn away anybody.
That's my point.
So why would it, Mike? Why would you turn them away?
Hold on. Can
I'm
I
not
say
saying we
this?
should.
Let
I'm
me
not
just
saying
say
we
this
should.
one
But I'm
thing.
saying we're funding a lot of illegals for medical. If somebody goes in, they're cut or stabbed or shot, or they're in the process of dying and are bleeding out, they get medical services. Period. Which is a good, compassionate thing. I'm not arguing against that. But but the Democrats want to fund it.
If you were to go to other affluent countries, like for instance, the UK, where they have universal health care, and let's say while you're there, there's an accident or there's a terrorist attack or whatever the case may be, and you get hurt, you will be treated and you will not get a bill. That's in other affluent countries too, not just the UK, but a lot of affluent countries have a paid medical system. So even if somebody who is not a citizen of that country is there and they get hurt and they need medical treatment, guess what? They get it and they are not billed for it. That makes no sense that the richest country on the planet can't do the same thing.
Those are horrible, horrible systems. And let me explain. Yeah, they absolutely are. UK and Canada, they're horrible systems because you can't get in. You got cancer, you can't get in to see a doctor because the waiting list is so long. So where do the people that have cancer in Canada, where do they go? They pay to come to the US and pay to get treatment so they don't die. My aunt, my mother's from Scotland. My aunt died in Scotland. Her whole family was there. She had a skin condition. She went to their medical system over and over and over and continued. Her skin condition got worse until she paid for a private doctor to remedy it quickly. She didn't get any relief. So everyone touts, universal health care for everyone as being so great and wonderful. No, it's not. The waiting list is long. It's months to see somebody. It's a horrible, horrible system, and it doesn't work. And that's why people from other countries come to America and pay up front for their medical treatment. So don't tout all this universal health care as being so wonderful, because it's not.
I won't say that it's perfect. Nothing that a human being creates is perfect, because we are imperfect people. So we cannot create a perfect system. And you are right. They do have private medical facilities as well as the public facility. So if you are a person who can afford private medical care and you don't want to go to the public system, you can do that. Just like if you're a person who can afford a private education here instead of a public education, you pay and have your kids go to a private school. It's the same thing.
Right.
So I agree that they have both systems in place. The problem is we have a system that is bankrupting people. Everyday Americans, people lose their homes, people are filing bankruptcy claims and all kinds of other things because they can't get the credit that they need so that they can get stuff like, a car or a home or help their kids go to school because of their medical bills holding them back. It should not bankrupt you to have your health restored.
So who's at fault and how do you fix it?
Like I said, I believe that their system is better than the one that we have. Not that it's perfect, but that it is better, because at least then people are dying right now because they can't afford to pay for their medical bills. People are dying right now because their insurance company said, oh no, we're not going to cover that, even though the doctor says it's what you need. And you're paying the insurance company, you are paying the doctor, you're paying your copay, but you are still dying because the insurance company says, nope, that's not something we're going to cover. That's not necessary, or because you can't even afford to make the payments. So either way it goes, you have people who are dying. So let's not act like people aren't dying here. There was a young man with plenty of money who just killed the head of a doggone medical insurance company because he still felt like he wasn't getting the treatment he needed. And this was a rich dude. this guy wasn't from a poor family. So I'm not condoning what he did by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just telling you that's how bad things have gotten, where people like him want to take it out on the insurance company. And then he had a whole lot of folks who felt like what he did was justified. I am not one of those people. Please don't take it that way. But when you look at how people were backing him up on his reaction to, you know, being denied coverage or being denied treatment, that is insanity. It should not be that way. And I don't claim to have the answer to all of it, but I do think having universal health care and people paying the government the taxes instead of paying the insurance company money, and for them later on tell you, no, that's not covered, or no, we don't think you need this, or no, we're not going to cover this much of your medication. You'll have to pay $300-400 a month. We'll just pay this amount. People are choosing between getting insulin shots and paying rent. People are trying to take their insulin in smaller doses because they cannot afford to take a whole dose, because they can't afford to buy their medications. And then on top of that, you are punishing those who are close enough to the Canadian border to cross over, get their medications cheaply, by now saying, oh, we're going to slap tariffs on those too to punish Canada. No, the only people you're punishing are the poor, sick people who could barely afford their medications, and they found a workaround in order to be able to get what they need so that they can survive. It is barbaric. Let's just put it that way. It is barbaric for us to be the richest country on the planet, and yet we have people who cannot afford basic health care, and we can't put a system in place like our other affluent brother and sister countries, or however you want to call it, that covers it all. That is insane. It's barbaric.
It is. And I tell you something else.
Universal healthcare is not the way to go. It's not the way to go. Like I tried to explain earlier, if you're very sick and you can't even get to see a doctor, and you die because you can't even get to a doctor, that's way different than what you're explaining, Ann. And these systems are just, they're overloaded. This universal health care is a joke. Is there a better way? Yeah. Could America do it better? Yeah. Could those universal health care countries do it better? Yeah. There's a better way, and yet neither side is looking at it correctly. People need to have access to doctors for life-giving care, and universal health care is not the answer.
Have you been to an emergency room and seen people sitting in an emergency room for hours on end and not getting care? There are people who die sitting in the emergency room department waiting to be seen. What you're saying doesn't sound like too different from what's happening here. The difference is at least they didn't have to get a bill for it at the end of it, because I guarantee you the people who were sitting there waiting to be seen, if they saw a triage nurse while they were waiting, they got a bill.
And Mike, you said there's a better way. What is your solution?
I'm saying there has to be a better way. I'm not saying I've got all the answers. I'm just saying what I'm looking at from the outside looking in, our system could be better. I know there's got to be people way smarter than me out there that can create a better system. And the universal health care that I'm aware of, that I've seen, when I went to Venezuela, you know, I was really concerned about being in a foreign third world country. And the people that were running the filming and everything said, hey, listen, if you get injured while you're here in Venezuela, you're not going to public health care, which is what they have down there. We're going to take you. We have private facilities that if anything happens to any of the crew on the Discovery Channel, if anything happens, we have pre-set up stuff where we see private doctors. So that in itself should tell you how great universal health care is.
Venezuela isn't an affluent country that I'm talking about. No, I'm talking about other places. Like you said, it's basically a dictatorship. They have a whole lot of issues in Venezuela. Everybody's aware of that. I'm talking about places like the UK. I'm talking about places like Canada. I'm talking about places like, I think, New Zealand, Australia, if I'm not incorrect. I'm talking about those types of countries that like Sweden and those types of places where part of, instead of paying an insurance premium, say through your employer, that money would be a tax payment to your government instead, and everybody would pay that particular type of tax. And so when you need medical care or you need medication, it's already covered. You just go to a hospital, or you go to a clinic, and you don't have to worry about coming up with a copay. You don't have to worry about meeting a deductible. All you need to worry about is going to the doctor to get treatment. People here in America don't go get treatment because they can't afford their deductibles. Right. People here in America don't go get treatment because they can't afford insurance. Even the Affordable Care Act, some people still don't have insurance because they cannot afford to even make those payments. And that is the more affordable insurance that we have in America. Not only that, people will not get in an ambulance because they're like, I can't afford to pay the ambulance bill. And please don't have to be helicoptered somewhere. That is a whole car note. You just bought a new car. If somebody has to transport you, from one state to another via a helicopter or something, nobody should go bankrupt because they got sick or they got hurt. That's so. I
have a question, and I'll include Dr. Sims. She's not here, but to William, to Ann, to Dr. Sims, to Dr. Demery, if he was still with us, bless his soul, to me, have you ever in your life had problem getting health insurance?
Have I ever had problems getting health insurance? Well, yeah. I have been one of the blessed people where my parents worked and they were able to have health insurance on me, or I was working and I've had health insurance for myself. I'm not saying that this is the same thing for everybody on this in the United States, though. Those are two different things. You can't make the same comparison with me with, say, for instance, the person who's homeless that's living across the street from Walmart in the Forest area over here off McCain. It's not the same.
Right. And the same here. Well, no,
because I'll expand it. Have any of us on this panel that are currently here or have been here, have any of us had a problem having a job, keeping a job, getting health insurance?
And that's I don't understand the question because we're not talking about us.
I'll break it down for you if you need me to.
No, I don't need it broken down. What I'm saying is we're talking about people who can barely pay for food, okay, who can't afford these things. And that doesn't now some of us on this panel, like you, might have more money than the rest of us, okay? But the point that I'm getting at, we're talking about the people who can't even afford to pay their rent.
I think now that you made me think about it, yes, there was a period of time when Andre and I first got married. Our first 7 months marriage. I was in law school. He was working as an assistant manager at Applebee's, and he lost his job. So no, we didn't have insurance at that point.
Did you fix it?
It took a while for us to fix everything. We ended up. I was out of law school for 2 years. We almost got evicted from our apartment. We ended up having to file bankruptcy very early on because we couldn't pay anything. It was a matter of, do we eat or do we, try to pay a bill? Because I was just a law clerk and he hadn't found a new job yet. And it wasn't until our home phone got cut off and nobody could reach us that our family is like, what is happening? And we finally, broke down and told them what was happening, and we got some help from them. And then we were able to both get a job working it was a cell phone company at the time called Alltel. And we weren't supposed to be able to work there together because they didn't hire people who were married, but we were like, we need the money. We were that desperate. We did it anyway. And thank God they hired us both. And then things started to get better and we had insurance again. Right. But we still were so far behind on my car got repossessed. Like I said, we almost got evicted. So much stuff was cut off. Everybody wanted their money right now. We had no choice but to file bankruptcy. So do I know what it's like? Yeah, I know what it's like.
Yeah.
To only be able to eat, hopefully.
Right. And how many people that right now that are in with that position that Ann was in? Okay. I've lost jobs before and things of that nature. Things got rough. So, Mike, we're talking about the people right now that are working and they aren't even making a living wage right now, and they have to decide, well, do I pay for health care, or do I pay rent, or do I buy groceries and things like that? So the people out here who can afford health care, yes, let them go on and get their private insurance. But other people who need Medicare, or I mean, that need Medicaid and things of that nature, okay, they should be able to get that. And I think it's cruel to be able to take that from people. And this administration right now, okay, this is not a both sides issue. This administration right now want to take it away from these people who can't even afford to eat. And that is cruel. While this guy is, like I said, taking a vacation each and every week. And Lauren Saunders brought up a point, and I think I remember this. She said the Obamas, and she's talking about when the Obamas went on vacation, they paid full fare to go home or wherever they went. So don't put.
And who paid for their Secret Service? And who paid for the jet?
Mike,
American people did.
Mike, that is not a smart statement right there. I'm gonna tell you why. Every president is supposed to get Secret Service. Are you crazy? Come on.
Do you know how much more Secret Service they had to have for him and his family because he went out of DC and went to Hawaii? And when they were out playing around doing whatever they're doing, vacation, you know how much Secret Service had to be there? 24/7. How many different shifts went through?
Mike,
give me a break.
Every president of the United States has Secret Service. Are you serious right now?
Well, you were mentioning that Trump goes golfing.
Yeah, he goes golfing all the time.
Hawaii.
He goes golfing on America's dime every weekend. Lawrence Saunders brought up a point. When the Obamas go on vacation, they pay for their vacation. Secret Service.
They didn't pay for their Secret Service. They didn't pay for Air Force One.
Mike, that is not Mike.
Stop it.
You know, you stop it.
You're missing the point again.
You're missing the point. Secret Service is afforded every president of the United States. Are you serious right now?
I'm fine with them getting Secret Service, but when you go on a weeks long vacation and they have to provide 24/7 coverage and use Air Force One to transport, that's a tremendous amount of money. So don't tell me that Trump is the only one that's somehow frivolously wasting money on the taxpayers'
Yes,
dime.
I am.
Every president out there did the same thing, left and right. So don't tell me that one side's pure and wears halos, is pures and driven and the other side is the devil incarnate. Give me a break, William.
You're exactly right. He is the devil. So I don't want to hear this garbage, Mike. Every president of the United States gets Secret Service, and President Obama. Yes, he can go on vacation. Yeah, the Secret Service has to go. So what? We're talking about somebody that goes every week.
Blame Trump for doing the same thing.
Every week.
I'm sure Obama went golfing a lot too.
No, not as much as Trump. And that's a fact. Not as much as Trump. No president in the history of the United States golfs as much as he did or he does. No president of the United States has ever taken as many trips for self-gain as he has. Bush, Obama, none of them went over to Saudi Arabia and got $5 billion deals or $2 billion crypto coin schemes or golf courses here, hotels there. Come on, Mike. Come on, bro. Drop that one. Drop it.
You think I'm trying to defend Trump. I'm not trying to defend Trump.
Yes, you are.
Stop. I'm not defending Trump. I'm just saying don't tell me no other side does it because they do.
Yes. Nope. Not to.
They're all dirty.
Mike. Not as dirty as this one. Not as dirty as this one, and you know it. And you know it. Yeah, you defending him.
I'm not so sure, buddy.
No. Yes, you are defending him because you bringing up these false equivalents, Mike.
How much money did Obama have when he entered office, and how much money did he have after 8 years and he left office?
I don't know. Why don't you tell us?
Maybe you should look it up. I don't want to tell you because you'll claim it's a lie. I want you to look it up. You do the history on it. You check it out.
Guess what? You're not my boss. You're not my parent. I don't have to do what you asked me to do. You look it up.
If you don't like my stats, then you look them up and make sure that you check it out instead of me handing it to you.
They are your stats.
I didn't give you any stats. I'm just saying, look up what he was worth, and after 8 years, what he was worth.
Don't care.
That's all I'm saying. You care about Trump and his money.
I don't care about him either. What I do care about is how he's fleecing the American public, how he's a crook, and you know it. He's running this country just like he's a mafia don. You know it. These crypto schemes. And now he wants his face on a dollar, a gold coin, which is also illegal. Did you know that?
I know that you can't have living people on U.S. currency. And who initiated this, by the way? I sent you the article on it. Well, you automatically blamed Trump for it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Automatically, without knowing. Absolutely. You don't know who initiated this.
Well, who did? Who did, Mike?
I don't know. But you automatically jump to Trump bad, orange man bad. He must be doing it.
Orange man bad.
You know, and you're exactly right.
Automatically blamed him.
Absolutely.
That was your go-to.
Yep, absolutely. Because guess what? He's the one out there that campaigning and soliciting to try to get the Nobel Peace Prize. Get a load of that. Nobel Peace Prize. Yes, I wouldn't doubt it a bit. I wouldn't doubt it a bit. Nope.
He brokered seven different peace policies. 7.
When?
In the last 6 months.
When? That's a lie, Mike. Oh, you talking about
again? I'm gonna let you look it up because anything I say, you won't believe. So I'm not going to say anything other than he brokered at least 7 peace deals throughout this world.
With who? Name them.
With all the different countries.
What countries are you talking about?
I'm not going to. I can look it up right now if you want, but you won't believe anything I say.
Please do, because guess what? Those 7 deals you talk about, they are a complete lie.
Okay,
they're a complete lie. Absolutely. Okay, and Mike, you need to stay off of Fox News and Breitbart. All right, that's your problem.
I listen to everybody.
No,
you listen to one side.
No, I listen to all that crap. I just can't stand Fox no more than 3 minutes. And
all right, CBS News. Trump says he's ended 6 or 7 wars. Here's what the record shows. Bye. Looks like Laura, I can't see this name. Laura Dean, September 2nd, 2025. Okay. In recent weeks, President Trump has repeatedly claimed he deserves credit for ending 6 or 7 wars during his first 6 months in office, arguing that he should receive the Nobel Peace Prize for his work. I stopped 7 wars, and they're big ones too, Mr. Trump said Friday. I've settled 6 wars, and a lot of people say 7 because there's one that nobody knows about, he said in an August 19th interview. A White House official provided a list of 7 conflicts the president is referencing: Israel and Iran, Rwanda and Democratic Republic of the Congo, Armenia and Azerbaijan, Thailand and Cambodia, India and Pakistan, Egypt and Ethiopia, and Serbia and Kosovo. There has been more progress towards peace than ever before because of this president's leadership, the official wrote. The recipient of the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize is expected to be announced next month. Over 100 people have received the award since the 19th century. Chemist Alfred Nobel created the prize to honor a person who shall have done the most or the best work for fraternity between nations, the abolition or reduction of standing arms, and for the holding and promotion of peace congresses. 4 U.S. presidents have been past laureates, most recently Barack Obama, who received the prize for supporting nuclear non-proliferation and international diplomacy. Foreign policy experts say that while Mr. Trump has helped broker ceasefires, including one between Israel and Iran, several of the foreign conflicts cited by the administration were not full-scale wars, and many remain unresolved. The White House did not respond to a request for clarification on why the president has repeatedly labeled all 7 conflicts as settled wars. Some of these peace efforts involve limited U.S. involvement, and in other instances, it remains unclear whether Mr. Trump's role was decisive. Here's a look at the conflicts. Israel and Iran. After Israel attacked Iran's nuclear facilities in June, a 12-day conflict resulted in the deaths of about 28 Israelis and hundreds of Iranians before a ceasefire was reached with U.S. and Qatari involvement. Mr. Trump claimed credit, saying he had ordered U.S. airstrikes on Iran's uranium enrichment sites and pressed Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to hold back from further strikes. Michael O'Hanlon, a senior fellow at Brookings, said Mr. Trump deserves some credit for this ceasefire. He managed to use a combination of a good relationship with Netanyahu, but also willingness to put a little pressure on Netanyahu that I think contributed to the at least temporary cessation of hostilities, O'Hanlon said. But other foreign policy experts said tensions between the nations are far from resolved. And Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell said in early July that the Defense Department estimated the U.S. strikes likely delayed Iran's nuclear program by 1 or 2 years. 1 to 2 years. Larry Haas, a senior fellow at the American Foreign Policy Council, said I very strongly disagree with the notion that the president brought peace to Iran and Israel. We may be in a quiet period in terms of direct confrontation, but Iran right now is trying to regroup. Rwanda and Democratic Republic of the Congo. In June, Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo announced a peace deal after multiple days of talks in Washington, mediated by President Trump and Qatar. The deal aimed to end 3 decades of fighting over Congo's mineral reserves. Yet, the violence has continued, with both sides accusing each other of violating peace terms. Human Rights Watch reported that M23, an armed group that U.S. officials believe is backed by Rwanda, killed over 140 civilians in eastern Congo in July. It's a premature declaration of success when, in fact, we are just getting to the starting line, O'Hanlon said. Armenia and Azerbaijan. In August, Mr. Trump helped negotiate an agreement aimed at normalizing relations and reopening transportation routes between Armenia and Azerbaijan, which have spent decades fighting over control of the Karabakh region. O'Hanlon and Haas agreed the Trump administration pushed the deal forward in part by inviting both leaders to the White House. Leaders of both countries also credited Mr. Trump for the agreement, saying he should receive the Nobel Peace Prize. But the deal is not a formal peace agreement and requires ratification. One remaining sticking point is that Azerbaijan wants Armenia to remove any mention of territorial claims to Azerbaijan's land from its constitution before officials sign a final deal. Armenia's prime minister has expressed willingness to change the constitution, but has not specified a date for a referendum. Thailand and Cambodia. In late July, Thailand and Cambodia agreed to a ceasefire after an outbreak of fighting killed at least 35 people. President Trump said that he had pressured both sides to come to the table by threatening trade consequences. The U.S. is a top importer for both countries, and foreign policy experts CBS News spoke to said Mr. Trump's tariff threats played a significant role in securing a ceasefire. He helped move things along with economic pressure, Haas said. The border dispute is continuing, though, with Thai officials accusing Cambodia of laying new landmines. Cambodia denied doing so. India and Pakistan. India and Pakistan agreed to a ceasefire in May after weeks of cross-border missile and drone strikes. The deal ended the latest flare-up in their long-running dispute over Kashmir, which both nuclear-armed nations claim as their territory. Pakistan credited the Trump administration's efforts in U.S.-led talks and nominated him for the Nobel Peace Prize. But India insisted its own pressure on Pakistan, not U.S. diplomacy, drove the deal. Both Kurlanzik, I hope I'm saying that right, a senior fellow for Southeast Asia and South Asia at the Council on Foreign Relations, said it's a stretch to call the dispute over Kashmir settled. There is no real ending to this conflict, he said, noting that future negotiations could be complicated by Mr. Trump's decision to impose steep tariffs on India, a key partner. Egypt and Ethiopia. Mr. Trump also claims he brokered peace between Ethiopia and Egypt, which have disagreed about Ethiopia's decision to construct a hydroelectric dam in the Nile. During his first term, Mr. Trump tried to broker a deal between the countries and suspended some aid to Ethiopia because of a lack of progress. In June, the president mentioned the dispute on Truth Social, writing, "There is peace, at least for now, because of my intervention, and it will stay that way." No details have been announced, however. Ethiopia still plans to officially open its dam in September over Egypt's objections that it will restrict the flow of water to its country. And while Egypt previously threatened to go to war over the dam, this conflict has remained a diplomatic one. O'Hanlon said of the dispute, "I would not call the Egypt-Ethiopia interaction a war." Serbia and Kosovo. In 2020, President Trump helped negotiate a deal between Serbia and Kosovo to help normalize economic ties, but progress stalled afterward. Talks have continued with European leaders, but no breakthroughs have emerged. Kosovo declared its independence from Serbia in 2008, which Serbia still does not recognize. His deal making, to the extent that it existed, actually occurred in his first term, and he really hasn't stopped what's going on, Haas said. And that's where we stand on Trump stopping 7 wars.
Right. It doesn't sound like 7 wars stopped to me, Mike. It doesn't sound like
wars. I said he brokered deals. I didn't say wars. I said he brokered peace deals. Did you hear what Ann read?
I heard what she read.
Credit for brokering these deals, whether the deals continued, even though he helped broker them. If the countries broke the deal, individuals within those 2 countries broke the deal. That's not Trump's fault. He did his best to broker these deals. And according to what Ann just read, I don't know what you just heard, but I just heard that he was responsible for brokering these deals. That's what I heard.
I heard he had some involvement, and you hear about
terrible of him to do that. What a horrible person he must be to do that.
Oh, yeah, real horrible. The point that I'm getting at, it doesn't sound like he solved anything. He can invite people to the White House. He can put tariffs on people and things like that, but he hasn't solved anything in most of those cases. Wow. So I don't even know why you brought that up. I don't even know. And he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize for what? I mean, he can't even spell his own name.
And just read it to you.
Guess what? But it wasn't clear, Mike, that he had any lasting, and in some cases he took credit for stuff that he didn't do.
He helped to broker those de-escalations.
And
that makes him a horrible person for trying to try to bring peace to countries in turmoil. Whether they continue with it or not, it's not his fault. But he tried to broker these deals, and in many cases he did. And he did broker some of these deals.
Well, guess what? It doesn't sound
and they're the ones that recommended him for the Nobel Peace Prize. He didn't recommend himself. These countries did.
Yeah, because they're trying to get something out of him. They try to get some favor or whatever it is. So they go kiss his butt because he falls all over. If you flatter him, guess what? You got him. So no, I'm not gonna give him credit for
like other politicians.
I'm not gonna give him the credit that you give him. Okay? Yeah, he invited some people to the White House, but it doesn't sound resounding to me like you trying to make it sound like he's just a great guy that can broker a deal.
I didn't say he's a great guy. I'm not a Trump fan. I've told you guys.
I don't know.
Before.
Well, that's what you say. That's what you say.
I'm not a Trump fan.
I don't know. That's what you say. Okay, I'm gonna take your word for it. But the point that I'm getting at is that he's not this great negotiator like you said he is. Okay, he is not this great negotiator. And you try to make sure he brokered 7 deals. But guess what? Most of those deals, according to what I heard from Ann, you can jump in at any time. A lot of those things, they're not solid and they are falling apart. In a lot of cases, they're falling apart.
That's not
you heard the thing about Israel and Iran. Iran is just waiting. Okay. Egypt, what's that? India and Pakistan. India, as a matter of fact, India said he had nothing to do with it. They said he had nothing to do with it. Okay, that he really didn't, that they negotiated that on his own. Okay, now that's 2 down. All right, and we can go on and on and on. Out in the Congo, that conflict is still going on. That's 3 down. So I don't know what you're talking about. I think it's irrelevant to the conversation. The guy is a horrible negotiator. And guess what? He is not doing this country any favors at all. He's gotten out of his criminal charges so far. And he's gotten rich. That's it. And it caused chaos in the streets of America. I mean, Our America right now, if you go to, especially blue cities, they are looking like war zones. It is crazy. People are afraid.
Who runs those blue cities?
Right now, the military.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, NPR just said that just sent me a little note that Trump's sending more forces to Oregon, as well as was that somewhere in California? Let me find it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go and look it up, man, because I'm gonna tell you something. And you found that most crimes are in the red states. Why he sent them to the blue cities? You know why? Because they have black mayors.
That is erroneous, and you know it. And if you don't know it, I'll explain it to you.
You do know that, Mike.
Can I explain it to you?
Out of the top 10,
can I explain it to you?
Let me finish. Out of the top 10 states in the United States, the majority are red. I believe it's 8 out of 10. I believe it's 8 out of 10, and the most crime happens in the red states.
Can I explain it to you?
Yeah, and then I want Andy to read what she has.
Let me explain that to you. I don't believe you're 8 out of 10. I don't believe those numbers at all.
But do you have any information? You have any information?
However, any red state that has a high crime rate, what they failed to tell you and what you failed to look up is because of the cities that are blue within those red states. All the crimes occurring. Hang on. You tell me to wait. Now I'm asking you to please wait.
All right.
All the red states that have high crime, the high crime rates are occurring in the cities or counties that are blue within that state, and skews the numbers to make the state look bad. That happens to be a red state in general, but the blue cities and blue country or counties are the ones creating the high numbers. You didn't know that, did you? You didn't look that up, did you?
Okay.
Are you supposed to be my 6th grade teacher or something like?
Hold on.
You're spouting numbers, and your numbers aren't correct.
Hold on.
Let's talk to somebody sensible.
I just want to point out that I don't care if we're talking about 2025 or 225 AD. Wherever you have more people congregated, there was more crime. So cities have always had more crime prevalent than, say, places that were farmlands and whatnot. So that's nothing new. I think if you look at any city, they're gonna have a whole lot more crime than, say, a town of 30,000 people. That's just the way it is. But okay. NPR says Trump federalizes the National Guard in Chicago while troops arrive in Oregon. The White House said Trump authorized the deployment of 300 Illinois National Guard members after vowing to send troops into Chicago. Meanwhile, Guard members arrived in Oregon from California. Portland and Chicago are preparing for the possibility that National Guard members will be deployed to their streets as President Trump moves ahead with his plan to send troops to Democratic-run U.S. cities that he says require help to control crime and protect federal law enforcement officers. On Saturday, the White House said Trump authorized the deployment of 300 Illinois National Guard members after vowing for weeks to send federal forces into Chicago. Also, over the weekend, a federal judge in Oregon temporarily blocked the administration's plan to deploy the Oregon National Guard to Portland, though troops have arrived in Oregon from California. Guard members will be used to protect federal property as well as U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and Federal Protective Service agents and other federal employees, according to a copy of a federal memo viewed by NPR. They will be sent to places where there are violent demonstrations in the state or where they are likely to occur based on current threat assessments, the memo said. Already this year, the Trump administration has sent National Guard members to Los Angeles and Washington, D.C. Trump has said he also intends to send troops to Memphis with the backing of Republican Tennessee Governor Bill Lee. The new deployment effort comes against the wishes of the Democratic governors of Oregon and Illinois, Tina Kotek and J.B. Pritzker, who say the Guard deployment is unnecessary and will escalate tensions. On Saturday, Pritzker wrote in a post on X that the Trump administration's Department of War gave me an ultimatum: call up your troops or we will. Pritzker added, it is absolutely outrageous and un-American to demand a governor send military troops within our own borders and against our will. In a statement, White House spokesperson Abigail Jackson said that Trump had activated the troops amidst ongoing violent riots and lawlessness in Chicago in order to protect federal officers and assets, WBEZ reported. Trump has said National Guard deployments are in an effort to fight crime, despite violent crime being down in Chicago and other cities. On Saturday, Border Patrol agents shot a woman in Chicago. Tricia McLaughlin, a spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security, said a spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security said the woman was one of a group of drivers who rammed federal agents with their vehicles. The woman, Miramar Martinez, was released from the hospital and is now in the custody of the FBI, DHS said in a statement. No agents were seriously injured, according to McLaughlin. A judge blocks Trump's effort in Portland, but Guard members arrived from California. Also on Saturday, a federal judge temporarily blocked the Trump administration from deploying the Oregon National Guard. U.S. District Judge Karen J. Emmergut ruled that the government had failed to meet the threshold for declaring that recent protests outside an ICE facility in Portland constituted a rebellion. Emmergut, who was appointed by Trump in 2019, said protests at the facility since July were generally limited to fewer than 30 people and were largely sedate. She added that the city's police force was trained in crowd management and could seek the assistance of other law enforcement agencies and even the National Guard if it needed to. The Trump administration federalized 200 members of the National Guard last Sunday for a 60-day deployment, according to a memo sent to Governor Kotek from the Department of Defense. As in Chicago, Trump was planning to send the troops to Portland over the objections of state and local leaders. Trump said Sunday he hadn't seen the judge's order, but that judge ought to be ashamed of themselves. Despite the judge's ruling, Guard members were en route to Oregon, according to California Governor Gavin Newsom. He said in a post on X that the Trump administration has sent 300 California National Guard personnel to the state's northern neighbor. They are on their way there now, Newsom wrote. We are taking this fight back to court. The public cannot stay silent in the face of such reckless and authoritarian conduct by the President of the United States. Kotek said on Sunday that 101 California Guard members arrived on Saturday in Oregon and more were on their way. This action appears to be intentional to circumvent yesterday's ruling by a federal judge, she said in a statement. And that's the end of it.
I'm telling you, again, I think that ICE needs to be dismantled. I think the cruelty that they cruel actions that they're putting on the United States citizens is abhorrent, and it shouldn't happen that way. It just shouldn't happen. I was looking at a old clip that came out a couple of months ago when they arrested that mayor out of New Jersey, and it was all staged. It was all staged. He had gone inside, and they were out there. These ICE agents, they were saying, "Okay, when the mayor comes out, we're gonna put handcuffs on him, right? And if your body cams are on, turn them off." It was completely staged, and for what? For what? They're trying to cause havoc. They're causing fear. And it's not a good feeling, man. It's not a good feeling. I don't think that in this country, where people, they have to turn on the TV or turn on the radio, or they go on their phones, and you see these clowns doing the most abhorrent things ever. Now people say, well, we need law and order. Yeah, we need law and order, but there's a way to go about it. You don't storm an apartment building out in the middle of the night, ripping children out. Children, I played that clip earlier. Children out of beds, bring them out in the street, zip tied together. What kind of psychological impact do you think it's going to have on those children? Those children didn't do anything wrong. Okay. Even, and I showed also, those were a couple of those black ladies, they were American citizens. Why are they being detained? They haven't done anything wrong. This lady said, I've never had a gun pointed in my face at all. These are barbaric people, it reminds me of what you would see in places like Russia, you know, and or North Korea, you know, or maybe even China. I don't know. But this shouldn't stand, or Hungary. It is, and I think everyone should be outraged by that. What are you? Do you ripping children away from their parents? And some of them are citizens, and a lot of them, they'll go to the courthouse. And I saw a clip on this earlier today. If people are, and you mentioned something earlier, if you're here illegally, you are flying under the radar. You're not going to the doctor. In the same way you're not going to the doctor, you're not going to the courthouse. You're not going to the courthouse. So you're telling me I'm coming here and I'm seeking asylum, right? And I'm doing it the right way. I have a court date to show up, because if I don't show up for court, then I'm going to be deported. I'm going to be deported. I show up doing things the right way, I'm still deported. Come on, this makes no sense. Ripping children out of mother's arms. Now, when he got on the campaign trail, he says, we're going after the violent criminals. These mothers and these children are not violent criminals. You saw where I posted this thing earlier, or I played it earlier, where they threw and tackled this man, the owner of that car wash. He's an American citizen. They roughed him up, locked him up.
What did he do before that?
Not a damn thing.
How do you know? Were you there?
How do you know? Why are you asking me a question like that?
Did they show you the videotape of everything occurring before he was thrown to the ground and arrested?
What they said was, he said he wanted to know what were they doing, and they locked him up. And guess what? If he had done something wrong, it would have come out. So why are you going to ask me these crazy hypotheticals when you can ask me just a crazy question?
Do you think
the man is a United States citizen? He's a United States citizen. He's a business owner. He comes out and asks him. He comes out. It's irrelevant. He's a United States citizen.
I'll explain. When you give me a chance, I'll explain.
It's irrelevant. He's a United States citizen.
It's irrelevant.
They come. Really? Mike, that's cruel. I never known you to be that cruel.
If you give me a chance to explain, I'll show you how it's not cruel.
I'm going to tell you how it is cruel. Number one, they didn't charge him with anything. They dropped all the charges. I know that. He simply asked them, what are they doing there? They roughed him up. Did you see the way if they want to arrest him? Sir, put your hands behind your back. Put handcuffs on him, blah, blah, blah. They threw him on the pavement. They tackled him like they were playing football. Okay? Lock the man up. Now, explain whatever you want to say. I'm waiting for this one. I'm waiting for this.
Do you think for a second, and again, it's irrelevant whether he's a citizen or not at this point, he got arrested. Do you think that he walked out while his people were, some of his workers were being arrested? Do you think he very calmly, very quietly walked out of his office with a cup of coffee, Starbucks in his hand, and said, hi, guys, what's going on here? What are you doing? Do you think that's possible? Or do you think he came out all pissed off and was being very aggressive until they could figure out who he was and what he was doing? They arrested him because he was interfering with what they were doing. It's obstruction of justice. And let me finish. Obstruction of justice is applied a great deal when people are out of control and they're not following lawful orders. So they detain them or they arrest them because they won't follow lawful orders. Which scenario do you think happened? He walked out calmly with a Starbucks coffee, or do you think he came out there all hostile? Which do you think happened? Which do you think happened to cause that arrest?
Let me answer the question. No, I don't think he came out with a bunch of with a Starbucks coffee, but he came out there and he had, whether he was hostile or not, that's his First Amendment right. You don't get arrested for that. You do not.
If you interfere with what law enforcement's doing, if you interfere, it's obstruction of justice.
No, I didn't interrupt you. It's his First Amendment right to come out on his business, on his property, disrupting business. Hey, what the hell are you guys doing here? That's his First Amendment right. That is not an arrestable offense.
Yes, it is. If
It
he's not
is not.
standing
No, it
back,
is
if
not.
he's not, if
That
he's
is not an
standing-
arrestable offense, Mike.
I'd like to have a discussion with you rather than listen to you give speeches. I'd like to have a discussion.
I'd like to
If
have a
him
discussion with
standing-
you if you
him
stop, you stop
10
being
feet
so
away-
rude and interrupting.
Him standing 10 feet away saying what's going on is not obstruction of justice. That's freedom of speech. Him getting up in their faces and screaming
You
at
don't have
them
any proof of
while
that.
they're trying to perform their lawful duties, that is obstruction of justice. And again,
Right.
until they can calm the situation down and gain control over it, they're going to arrest him for obstruction of justice because
But you don't know that to be
now
true.
they're focused. Now I've been there and done that. Now their focus is on him instead of what they were doing as their job. It had nothing to do with whether he was a citizen or not. It had to do with him being out of control and getting in their faces. I guarantee you. But they don't show you that side of the video, do they?
But guess what? Do you have any proof that happened? You just.
I have what's called common sense. I
Well,
know.
guess what?
I know that
Your-
that's what happened.
Your sense is not so common today because you have no
Would
proof.
he have been arrested if he came out there calmly, stood 10 feet away, and said, "Hi guys, what's going on?" Would he
I
be
tell you what,
arrested? Does that make common sense?
Guess what? I don't think you don't have any proof of what you're saying. This is a hypothetical.
And you
The
don't
only
have
way-
any proof that he didn't come out all hostile.
But guess
did you?
what? Until you prove me wrong, then I'm not buying the crap you're
Well,
talking
until
about.
you prove me wrong, I'm not buying it.
Well, guess what?
There.
You don't want to come up with that. You came up with that, and I'll tell you
I've been
something else.
involved in these situations. You have to conversate. You have
It
to
doesn't make
detain
any
everyone.
sense. No, you don't.
There's a
It depends-
difference. Do you know the
it-
difference
it-
between detained and arrest?
It
Let's
makes.
start
It
with
depends
that.
on. It depends on the color of your skin. It depends on the color of your skin.
All
I've
right,
seen-
but detained and arrested
Maybe.
plenty of pasty-faced white
Maybe
boys and girls.
I'm sure you did. You're not a normal cop. I mean, you're not. You're not bad. You're not a bad cop. Okay,
What does that mean?
I meant to say I don't believe he's a bad cop. That's what I meant.
Oh, okay. I'm with you now.
And what I'm saying is, I've seen white guys tell the police officers to F off, and guess what? They don't do anything to them. I've seen
Freedom of
black.
speech.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. So if he came out, you just proved my point. So if he came out there, and, what the hell are you doing on my property? And they do that to him because he didn't attack them.
How
He didn't
close was
attack-
he? How loud was he screaming? Did he
Who
take their
cares?
focus? Hold on. Did he take their focus away from their job and protecting themselves while they're arresting people? Did he take their attention away by his acting out? I guarantee you, if they show you the beginning of it, he acted out. He got aggressive. He got in their faces and he's yelling and screaming and red faced. He wasn't offering them Starbucks.
No. Well, how come they didn't show that?
Bet you.
Why didn't they show that?
That's a great question. That's a great question, William.
What
Why
happened?
didn't they show that?
Because guess what? Because it didn't.
Why? Why?
Because it didn't
really?
happen.
Maybe they're concealing what
Because
happened prior to his arrest.
See, you're making up stuff now. You are making up stuff.
I'm
You don't know what
using my common sense.
that ain't no
Police
common
don't arrest
sense.
people that are calmly standing 10 feet away going, "Hi, how you doing? What's going on?" They don't
Oh,
arrest
they-
people for that, William.
They
They
arrest
just
black,
don't.
they arrest black and brown people all day long for asking questions. Don't hand me that crap.
It depends how they ask the question.
Baloney.
Wow.
Well, guess what?
If you're hostile, if you're
they don't treat-
hold
they
on,
don't treat the-
man,
they
don't
don't
say
treat the
wow,
laborers the
because
same
if
way.
you're hostile in your courtroom, man, and somebody gets up in your face and charges your bench, what happens to them?
Mike, you making
No,
up
it's
stuff.
not. If you're hostile if you're hostile towards people that are in power, this is what happens. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. If you're going to act that way towards law enforcement or a judge, you can't do those things.
Okay.
You cannot act that way and not expect to have reap the ramifications of your bad actions, your bad decisions.
Mike, let Ann answer that because
what I've heard is, on the one hand, Mike is saying that the man was being belligerent, loud, saying mean things to the police officers, and he thinks that the man may have gotten close. I think, William, you offered a similar argument that you've heard white men say curse words and whatnot towards officers, and it was looked at as, I think Mike said, free speech. So it sounds to me like you got the same activity going on. You got two people who are being angry and belligerent towards police officers, but one group, even though they're cursing out the police officer, is free speech, the other group does it and it's not. On that note, it is 7:00. Thank you, Fleur Brand, and everybody else who has tuned in tonight. We appreciate all of you coming in on the Boomerang, and thank you for all of your comments. They've been awesome. I really do appreciate hearing your side of things. And we hope you will come back and join us next Sunday for the Boomerang Radio Show, where we would do this lovely discussion all over again. You guys tune in. And then don't forget, on Saturday, we'll be back with the Eating as an Act of Worship Ministries radio show and a very brand new episode of the Teens Talk Truth radio show. I think we're going to have Casey, the gospel singer, is going to be their guest on Saturday, so you guys don't want to miss it. They've got shows back to back for the next couple of weekends, so you guys tune in, please, ma'am, please, sir. And then don't forget to come on Thursday nights for Mad Mike and Wild Will for Coast to Coast. You don't want to miss that. They're actually nice to each other on that show.
Oh yeah, it's a lot more calm. You're talking about dichotomy. Crazy. Hey guys, enjoy your Sunday.
Split, yeah.
Enjoy yourself.
For the Boomerang, it takes a whole week. It takes a whole week for the smoke to clear before we can do another Boomerang.
Ooh, let's turn on the fans and get the smoke working. Get the smoke out of here.
Hey guys, enjoy your Sunday.
Have a blessed week, everybody.
All right, now.
Bye.